Now, let's talk a little bit about the strategies, and you can use a combination of these ones. I'll go over them, but when I did door-to-door sales, there was these strategies: sense of urgency, greed, fear of loss, Jones effect, indifference, and humor. That's the sixth one. Humor is, by the way, mine. This is kind of like being myself. I don't like to take things too seriously, and people appreciate that. They see that on our videos. They're quirky, they're fun to watch. So what you see on the videos, I like that to correspond with my personality, with what they see when they get to interact with one of us working in Grumo Media. Uh, Sense of urgency is something like this. So if you don't take a decision right now, well, you're gonna like lose the chance to save money. I'm not saying this applies exactly to what I do at Grumo Media. I've used some of these strategies, but they may apply more or less depending on the product you're selling. For example, when Dan Martel or any of these I was mentioning Dan Martel's method, but anybody that does webinars, typically a webinar has an offer at the end of the webinar. Now, to encourage people to take action, they make it a limited offer. Sometimes this will be artificially limited, and sometimes it wouldn't be. So, for example, if you can only take 20 people on your one-on-one mentorship program, then that's it, 20 people. If you're not one of the first ones to sign up for this offer, you may be the 21st person to ask for it, and then you lose the opportunity. If you mention this, they'll be more likely to take action. The whole idea is that they take action. Now, this could be artificially done, like a lot of people do on these daily deal sites like Groupon or Live Social and stuff like that, where they say, okay, this offer is only available for the next 24 hours. Well, it could be available for as long as they want it, but they just put in a specific number of hours with the countdown timer. So as you see the time going down and there's only 2 hours left, you're way more likely to take action than if it wasn't there. Greed is saving money, for example, so you can combine them. So if we have an offer that is going to be available until the end of the week, which you'll be able to save $25. People like to save money. We're greedy, want to get a good deal. That's a good strategy. Fear of loss it's similar in the sense that once you think that you could have taken advantage of an opportunity and you don't, then you are afraid of regretting it in the future that you didn't take advantage. So you might as well take advantage of this great opportunity because you don't want to have that sense of loss. That's how our minds work. Jones effect is, well, it typically applies to if you see your neighbor with a really nice car and your car is really crappy, then you're envious. You're like, why does he have a nicer car than I do? Or if you see everybody in your neighborhood with I don't know, they all bought the same TV, let's put it this way, and it's a really nice TV, and you're the only one that still has a CRTV TV. And you're like, man, everybody has a TV and I don't, or everybody has an iPhone, I don't. It's the Jones effect. It's kind of like peer pressure. So a way I could use this in my business is like, well, look at all these big companies, very well-established companies that have already used us before. They hired us, they're extremely happy. You're like, wow, I'm also good. Why shouldn't I be also, I should also get a video from Grumo Media if these big guys did it. If Ashton Kutcher thought Grumo Media was good enough to hire them for their nonprofit campaign, why not? Indifference. It's in negotiation. It could be they say whoever has the least need for the outcome to happen is the one that has the power of the over the negotiation. So if I don't really care whether you buy from me or not, and but for you it's a bigger deal because you really want to get this video or whatever product, then I have the power. This could be artificially made because I may really want you to have the to buy from me, but I could honestly say, whether you buy or not this video from me, it doesn't really make a difference. I can move on right now. I have lots of people that are asking for videos every single day, and you'll be like, wow. This creates some psychological trigger right there, where you're like, if he's not if he's not pushing for it so much, it's kind of like, it works like this: if I push, you go away. If I go away, you kind of push. And I've seen this. I have one of my partners is actually so good doing this. It's amazing. I'm not even a tenth as good as he does, and he closes really big deals doing something similar, where he's like, you know what, I don't think we're right for you. And they're like, what do you mean you're not right for us? It's kind of like inverted psychology, or and they're like, well, I think we're good enough for you. And he's basically saying that he doesn't really care whether they hire us or not. And then suddenly there's some mental trigger that says, well, I want to be wanted, so I want them to want to do a video with me. Humor, like I mentioned, it's in my company. I like to. It's kind of like a overarching theme. We like to have fun. More strategies, because this is really fun actually. So there's 6 more strategies: authority, reciprocity, trust, likability, scarcity, social proof. I grabbed these ones from probably one of the top information marketers out there. His name is Jeff Walker from the Product Launch Formula. And basically his whole concept is how to maximize sales when you launch a new product. So there's a whole process before the actual launch date, which consists in providing a lot of free content and using a lot of these triggers before, during, and after the launch. And they work like charms. He calls them mental triggers. They work because as humans, genetically, we're almost 99.99% the same, and how our minds work and are triggered and manipulated, if you want to say that way, it's similar across the board. Sometimes it makes me feel sad that we're so easily manipulated. But he says, you know what? If you're really providing something good, you shouldn't feel so bad that you're using some of these triggers. And I still have trouble knowing that I'm manipulating people to a certain degree in order to sell something. So I don't really use a lot of these techniques, but we use them continuously whether we want or not. When you meet a new person, you want to establish a lot of things. You want them to be interested in you, and to do so you have to show that you have value to provide, and you don't have a lot of time to do this. So what do? Well, you say you have to use these mental triggers like authority. Authority is like, okay, well, it works very simple. If you see somebody wearing a uniform, a lab coat, or a police officer uniform, immediately you're going to pay more attention to this person. You're going to listen to this person. It could be completely fake. And there's this famous experiment that they did where a guy with a lab coat with no credentials whatsoever asked somebody to press a button that was going to deliver electrical charge to another person on the other side of the room. It was all fake, but there was a moment where, in theory, the amount of electrical shock was lethal. I think there was more than 50% of the people that would actually deliver this lethal electrical shock just because a guy with a lab coat said so, with no credentials. This is how our minds work. So anyways, I'm just saying that if you can portray some kind of authority, people are going to listen to you more. Reciprocity, if you give a lot of free stuff, then people are more likely to buy from you, because they feel it's like, okay, you gave me something, I feel like I have to give you something back. Trust, always make sure that you're saying, like, you're being, there's different ways of building trust. On a sales call, there's not a lot of time, but through testimonials and through previous work, obviously you can build trust. Likability, this is very important in my company's paramount, is, be honest, fun, don't take things too seriously. We talk to a lot of big corporate clients, and man, those calls can be so boring. And this is what I say, what I do, and I say to the people that take sales calls on my behalf sometimes. It's like, you know what, ensure that at least once or twice during the sales call, they chuckle or laugh a little bit, which is exactly what we want to accomplish in our videos. And if they don't respond well, maybe they're not the right people to do a video with us. And guess what? The people that like you, they're way more likely to buy from you. Scarcity, this is a little bit of a sense of urgency. It's a different way of calling it, but basically if there's only so many products available and they're gonna disappear within the next 24 hours, that's all the ones you have, the scarcity feeling, the scarcity mental trigger kicks in and people want to take action. Social proof, things like this is a little bit like Jones effect, and where in social proof is, for example, testimonials is the best social proof. Also, for example, if you're selling a product, seeing how many people have reviewed it, how many people have downloaded it. Social proof also could mean, how many followers you have on Twitter. It's not the same saying, I started a company, I have 12 followers on Twitter, or go to our Twitter and we have 100,000 followers. How many companies have 100,000 followers? Not many. Well, there you go. That's social proof. People are following you. If they're following you, it's because you have something interesting to sell or say or promote or share. At the end of all of this, there are certain goals which we mentioned before, which is, so we apply these strategies to the sales call, and the goals of the sales call are creating that attention. We want our potential buyer to, listen through the whole conversation, to show interest by asking questions. Eventually, once you answer those questions, they're going to start to have a real desire to take action. And once they take action, you won the lead and you're in business. You're literally in business. Hey, did you enjoy this video? If you want to see more like this, just subscribe here. If you want a free gift, click here. Yeah. Which one is going to be the one you click? La 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 li 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 li.